Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Welcome to a misery Monday, as we are not undefeated. We would be one of 3 teams undefeated, which would have felt good. However, we were our worst enemy, as Johnny says. So we'll get into it. Thanks for everyone who are boosting the algorithm. Misery loves company, so we want as much faithful as we can into the chat to figure this out. We're going to solve world hunger. We're going to solve William Cohen getting punched in the mouth. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Salah would oblige, I think. We'll solve all kinds of things here. I don't know, Johnny, where you would like to start. There's so much. I'll pass off the microphone to you, my friend.
I'm frustrated. I think we all are, right? Like, that was a game. That was a game that you had no business losing.
Yeah, here's
but also you had no business being in it, right?
So many dumb mistakes. Now, here's one thing, Johnny. One thing. Would you rather, our buddies with the Tennessee Titans, would you rather lose like that, where it's just like throw the entire game away and it's just from start to finish, you're just not good? Or, I know it's stupid because you're like, would you rather do this or this? And both of them are bad. But I mean, I prefer the way we lost because we can clean up stuff. Whereas Tennessee, they need to just fire the whole staff and just it's just not gonna work. We have the pieces. Would you agree or no? Would you rather lose like 20-0, 26-0?
Well, okay, look, I would never want to be the Tennessee Titans. Let's just get that out of the way right now. I mean, of course, I wouldn't want to be the worst franchise. Maybe second worst franchise in the NFL behind the Browns, or just ahead of the Browns. So, of course, I don't want to be the Tennessee Titans. That's not the argument here, though. The argument is you're a team that you've paid a lot of people an incredible amount of money, namely like Trent Williams, who has not played up to his contract so far this year. I love Trent as much as anybody. He is not playing up to that contract that he held out for last year, and he didn't play up to it last year. You have Nick Bosa on IR, who is paid an incredible amount of money. You have Brandon Ayuk is still on IR. You have Malik Mustafa is still on IR. You have
George Kittle.
You have George Kittle, who you gave a pay raise to this offseason, has only played in 2 quarters this year. You cannot have this much talent not on the field and then say, well, would you rather be the Tennessee Titans? No, we are not the Tennessee Titans. We're not supposed to be the Tennessee Titans. We have too much talent to be the Tennessee Titans. Now, on the other side, you could say it's a miracle that we were even in the game, and it says something about the team that you can be 3-0 in the turnover margin and still have the ball with 3 minutes left with a chance to go win the game. That's where
Yeah.
Liam Cohen needs to shut his dang mouth.
Yeah.
You're going to sit there and run your mouth after the game like you did something all great. Your team was 3-0 in the turnover battle. You had a punt return for a touchdown that there was an illegal block in the back that was not called. You had a fumble that bounced the right way straight back to one of your own guys. You were at that point in the game, you ran for like 132 yards.
Our interception.
You had an interception that was
ghost call,
a very ticky-tack call.
Yeah.
You had the referees miss a decline penalty,
and they admitted it.
You have all of these things go everything that can go your way goes, and the other team loses really their only wideout target that they have in the game. The other one's banged up too. And at the end of that game, you are 3 minutes away from losing that game, and then you run your mouth in some sort of chest pounding moment. Get out of here. Like that is peak insecurity right there. Like that was one of the worst looks, and especially running your mouth to a man that outweighs you by about 40 pounds and would just would decimate you while you're hiding behind somebody else. It's like, hold me back,
Yeah.
and nobody's holding it back. You guys got to hold me back.
Yeah.
This is that was such a ridiculous move. But it's a game that when I started just watching the film and Adam saw it, I've only watched like 3 or 4 plays, and I'm already getting indigestion because there's just missed opportunities and
missed blocks, yeah.
Well, it's just it's stuff where you can't play like that and expect to win. You cannot do that. And look, it's not all. And it's my frustration. This is why my frustration with the staff in the sense of they cannot keep players healthy is getting beyond frustrating for me. Because I look at some of this stuff and I say, well, look, I can understand Kendrick Bourne missing that block because he's only been with the team for a few weeks and we have not run that play in a game yet. I can understand that, but then it makes me doubly frustrated that why is Jordan Watkins not on the field? Why is Jacob Cowing not on the field? Why do we have so many players who cannot stay healthy on this team? And it gets me really frustrated. And I've gone back and forth with people about this on Twitter and X. There's a misunderstanding about what the 49ers have done with their strength and conditioning department. People act like they have cleaned house 2 or 3 times since Shanahan's been here, and that's just patently false. What happened was they got here in 2017. They hired Dustin Perry as an assistant strength and conditioning coach. He had been with Kyle, I believe it was in Houston, or he's with John Lynch in Denver. It was one of the two. Okay. Dustin Perry was hired as an assistant when Kyle got here. Ray Wright and Jeff Ferguson were the 2 guys that were in charge of the strength and conditioning and player health departments. In 2019, after 2017 and 18 were years riddled with injuries as well, they fired Ray Wright and Jeff Ferguson. They hired Ben Peterson away from the NHL. There was a lot made of that when they hired him because he had a doctorate in sports science prevention and stuff, injury prevention and everything. When they fired Ray Wright as head of strength and conditioning, they promoted Dustin Perry from within. Okay. He was not an outside hire. And that alone should give everybody a little bit of pause on everything, because why was it that they felt something was so wrong within the strength and conditioning department that the head had to be fired, but they felt like that people who do not know, who are not trained in strength and conditioning, felt that the answer was in the building? Where did they get that information that the issue wasn't the people who were in the strength and conditioning department, it was how Ray Wright was running the department? That already should give everybody pause for concern about why Dustin Perry was promoted. I'm not crying foul necessarily. I'm just saying that makes me kind of go, okay. So Ben Peterson was head of player development. Dustin Perry was head of strength and conditioning. Those two have been in their positions, or were in their positions in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Okay, at the end of the 2023 season, it was Ben Peterson. I'm assuming he got an offer from outside, because without any real fireworks, they promoted him to VP of Player Health and Development. He was head of Player Health and Development, and then they promoted him to VP of, just basically they gave him a title and probably a pay raise. Then they promoted Dustin Perry to be VP of Strength and Conditioning. So those guys have been here in their spots since 2019. Then the next off season, before the 2024 season, it was Ben Peterson was hired away by the Atlanta Hawks. And when he was hired away, Dustin Perry was then promoted to VP of Player Health. Dustin Perry has been with the team, who was the VP of Player Health. He was the assistant strength and conditioning coach. Then he was head of the strength and conditioning department in 2019 until 2024, when he was promoted to VP of Player Health and Development, where he is now. Ben Peterson was here from 2019 until he left for the Hawks the last offseason. So this idea that they have just cleaned house with their strength and conditioning department multiple times is not true. And when you look at the tenure of the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan's tenure here, you were looking at every single season except for 2023. You were one of the most injured teams by a wide margin in the NFL. And last year, you ended the season second most cap dollars on IR of any team in the NFL. And right now, you are number one in salary cap APY on injured reserve. Right now. Yeah. You cannot sit here. I've lost all patience. I've lost all understanding when that department continues to have the same people running it, and you continue to have the same problems. And we can go through the injuries and say, well, this happens on this guy, and this happens on that guy, and this guy may have an injury and injury history. I understand all that, but when you have a consistent record in the same direction, except for one outlier year, that is a problem. The year we went to the Super Bowl in 2019, we had over 220 games missed due to injury. That is ridiculous. Right now, starters, we're averaging 4 starters missing per game. We're averaging 4 receiving targets, 3 receivers and 1 tight end per game is what we're missing right now. This is wild. And you can't expect, I understand the idea, and this kind of goes back to Cayman's Islands super chat. We haven't seen a great game from Brock Purdy. I will say yes and no. We haven't seen a clean game from Brock Purdy in a while. We see a guy who continues to try and fire the ball away as if he has all of the weapons around him that he is, and he's expecting his players to be in the right spots, and they are not always in the right spots. Now, Brock's made some throws, and he's had some that have been batted, and there's been a lot of picks over the last 11 games or so. But if you go back and see when did that trend happen, it's when you suddenly lose your dearth of wide receivers and you're playing with practice squad guys. Nobody in the NFL believes that Sky Moore is an NFL caliber receiver. Nobody does. He had 0 catches on a Chiefs team last year that was a bad offense, was not a good offense. And he was one of the receiving targets up that got 50% of the snaps yesterday at receiver. There is a problem on this offense of creating space. MVS had been starting, who was a healthy scratch yesterday. He was a healthy scratch yesterday. And it was somebody that we picked up at the deadline. Kendrick Bourne was a free agent 1 week into the NFL season. And so, I'm very frustrated by this. I'm very frustrated by it all. These things should not be happening. And you want to know why I'm really frustrated about it? I told Adam I wasn't going to share this, but I am. Okay.
Yeah, I think you should. I asked you.
This is the first trip in the red zone. Okay. We come away with 3 points. We're going to run a little swing pass here to Christian McCaffrey. Juwan Jennings blocks first inside. Kendrick Bourne is going to block second inside. And then Luke Farrell's going to block outside, the farthest man outside. Okay, because these guys are both running outside, my mouse is in the wrong spot. Because these two guys cannot figure out who's supposed to block who. You have a player come through. Kendrick Bourne blows his block and then doesn't turn around to keep going.
Look at bunch of
he
idiots.
Just turns, he's going to turn and go. You should have a stinking touchdown right here.
Yeah.
This should be Christian McCaffrey. You block these two guys to the sideline. He should be walking in for a touchdown. Instead, you have this and is a loss of 1 yard with second down in the red zone. You want to talk about red zone struggles? Well, that's what you're dealing with. And it's really frustrating. And I'm looking at it and I go, okay, well, I can kind of understand like him not necessarily getting that block. This is the first time he's ran that play this time, but you can't have mistakes like that and then expect to go win the game. And why is Kendrick Bourne out there on that play? Because you have no one else in the receiver room because everybody's hurt. And it gets really frustrating to watch players like Fred Warner, George Kittle, Trent Williams, where you feel like they are coming down towards the end of their careers, especially Trent Williams. And you think, okay, how much longer can we deal with plays, with games like this, years like this, where so many guys are sitting on IR that it ruins your chance to make a run for it? Because I'm looking at Trent Williams' play so far this year, and I'm going, is Trent going to be here next year? Right now, I don't know. I really don't. And then it makes the loss of Nick Bosa even more frustrating, and feeling like, why can't this team stay healthy? Something has to change, and I'm over it. I'm so over it.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would say about Jacksonville? That one ETN run also was like, is that us on the field? Like, is there anything that we can say like, okay, we actually did get beat. They did this better than we did. I'm not talking about just that one play, but in general, was there anything that you saw where you would give Jacksonville credit, or was it all just us losing that game?
They really protected their quarterback. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was not sacked once, and he was not hit once.
Yeah, that tells you a lot, I guess. Man,
they ran the ball. I mean, Etienne had 120 yards rushing himself. I'll pull it back up just to make sure.
He had that explosive. He's going to get that when he has that explosive one. I mean, for sure.
Okay, even outside of that, 18 carries for over 70 yards. Christian McCaffrey had 17 carries for 49 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's that explosive, but he's still averaging like 4 yards a carry almost without that. You give up two big explosives in the run game. Yeah, that's not how you play, and it's not good enough. You allow Brian Thomas to get like 4 little dinky 8-yard out routes. You can't do that. You can't allow these things and expect to win the game. I mean, when you have 6 drops, like, we are not a team that is meant to be 22 carries and 40 dropbacks. That we are not meant to be that kind of a team. And every game so far has been that. Brock had 40 some dropbacks yesterday. I'd have to double check on what the sacks were, because he threw 38 times. Then he had 2 runs. So that's 40 dropbacks. And then I believe he was sacked twice, and then had 3 times with the fumble. So that's like 43 dropbacks to 22 runs. That's not who we are. Like, that is not the 49ers as a team. You have, this should just tell you how bad the receiving targets are. Christian McCaffrey had 11 targets in the passing game. Number 2 was Jake Tonjes at 5. Jake Tonjes. Ricky Pearsall at 5 targets. So your number 2 and 3 most targeted receivers are still not receiving as many targets as your running back.
Combined, yeah.
Yeah, those 2 combined are still not as many targets as your running back. Half of his targets in the game went to 3 players, and a quarter of his targets went to his running back. Like, at some point here, I say, yeah, Brock hasn't played. He still threw for 309 yards doing that. And at some point, like, you've got to get some guys who can create space in the passing game. Everything is so condensed, and you're seeing him make all these tight window throws in zone. You're going to end up with picks if that happens. I don't care who the quarterback is. You're going to end up with picks if you cannot create space against zone. And we just don't have the receivers to do that right now. And I don't know how they make that happen. Kendrick Bourne, 4 targets, 1 catch, 2 big drops.
Huge.
Sky Moore, 1 target, no catches. Like, it's just, I mean, you look at receivers, just add this up. You got 5, 7, 9, 14 targets to wide receivers. Non-wide receivers, 16, 19, 21 targets to non-wide receivers. Tells you the story right there.
Yeah. And it doesn't get any easier because we can't even lick our wounds. There's not enough time. We play in a few days. Like, we don't play in a week. We play in a couple days. Like, and it's the Rams. I mean, gosh.
Jack Nixon, he did see the linebacker there. He talked about it in the presser. He said, I saw the guy was there. I knew it was going to be a tight window throw. The ball was then picked. Like, it was going to be a tight window throw. Am I saying it wouldn't have been a pick? No, but you got a quarterback who, when you're in this point where it is so hard to move the ball, it seems like you have everything you do with football, you make it look hard, and your quarterback is trying to get it if there is any sort of window that's there, but you are not creating space. Like, Juwan was running a drift route. We run these all the time. We've seen Brandon Ayuk get these and run them 30 yards. We've seen Debo get them and run them 30 yards. That space is not there right now. And this isn't a situation like, well, the book is out on Brock. This is like a drift route is a Mike Shanahan thing. This was something that Mike Shanahan has been running, and it has been in the NFL for 30 years. So this isn't like, well, teams know we're going to throw that drift route. Every team you play for 30 years against a Shanahan or a Kubiak knows you're going to see a drift route. Those are open when you can create space. When you can't create space, it's going to be a very tight window throw. So I don't know. They got to get some guys healthy back. They've got to be able to get some movement in the run game and start creating space. This is just, and Shanahan's talked about this, and I'm seeing it on film too. Like, you're seeing teams come out. It's not like teams are sitting there saying we're going to put 8-9 guys in the box every time. Like, this is what I'm seeing. I'm just going to put this up again as what we're seeing. You're not seeing this we're going to bring a safety down into this area. You see that this is a shell, that you have 2 deep safeties. I'm seeing this all the time on film. What you are seeing is that teams are willing to say, okay, we're willing to match up on this guy. We're willing to match up on this guy. And we're going to bring an extra man on these rundowns all the time. And so when Kyle says teams are willing to sell out against the run, that means they are willing to bring extra pressures and fill these holes at will against us because they're not worried about this guy beating you. They're not worried on a comeback. They're not worried about this guy going and running deep down the field because now you have a safety there. So they're going to squat underneath him and they're going to play safety over the top. And then the other guy, they don't care. They're going to match up one-on-one. And if he beats you, so be it. That is what I'm seeing like all the time. So when people say, we can't run the ball because teams are just loading up against a run, it's not necessarily that. They are loading up against a run, but not in the way you think. It's not this single high cover 3 or cover 1 sort of 8-man box sort of loading up against the run. They're sitting there saying, we're going to keep coming with these run blitzes until you have a second option that can beat us. And so you're left in this place where, okay, do you leave Christian McCaffrey into block to pick up that extra man? That's what happened on the the play that ended the game that Brock fumbles on, right? So you try and do that, and now McCaffrey's trying to abort a play fake, and it's looking ugly. You used to be able to bring George Kittle in and keep him in the block on a lot of those, but you don't have that anymore, right? Because George is down with a bad hammy. Are you going to keep Luke Farrell in there? Because then at the end of that game, you're talking it's a banged up Juwan Jennings and a Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson, who hasn't played yet in the season, are your guys. Like, this is the problems I'm seeing when I say it's not you can't create space. This is a struggle. They don't the weapons are not being respected to create space. And it's really frustrating to watch this. When they can get any sort of space creators, Shanahan, I promise you, is gonna set this offense off. If you look at on paper who this team can have out there on the field with Christian McCaffrey, with Brandon Ayuk, with Ricky Pearsall, with George Kittle, you have Trent out there, you have Juszczyk, you have these. That is a very lethal offense.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to wonder, are any of these guys, are we going to have any moment on the field where all of those guys are playing together? I don't know, and it's getting frustrating. And I'm very frustrated this morning. That's just what I am.
The second game against the Rams, I feel like that may be a game where we have everyone on the field. That's what I'm hoping. I've just looked ahead to the schedule. A lot of people are saying 3-3 is staring us in the face, and I do not disagree, because the Rams will be tough, and then the Bucks, and then you have a get right game, primetime game against the Falcons.
The Falcons aren't going to be an easy game.
No,
that's no easy game.
No, because ask the Packers if the Browns were an easy game. Ask the Chargers if the New York Football Giants was an easy game.
Well, ask the Commanders how much of an easy game it is trying to beat the Falcons right now. They lost 34-27 yesterday to the Falcons. And Michael Penix threw for 313 and 2 touchdowns, 77% completion percentage.
Yeah.
They got Bijan Robinson, who's starting to come into his own.
His quick cuts, holy Lord. He's the best cutter in football.
Like, before the season, we were all saying, well, the 49ers are going to have this really easy schedule. And we were counting on that with teams like the Jaguars and hoping that they would be cheeks. They're 3-1.
Yeah.
Okay. And they lead the league in turnovers. The Falcons are 2-2 and look as like they can beat anybody in the league. I mean, the Colts, who we were expecting to be one of those teams, they're playing out of their mind. They should have won yesterday.
The guy dropped the ball.
The guy literally fumbling out the back of the end zone.
And then holding on a touchdown run. He was the guy that held. Like, he single-handedly lost them the game. Literally, one player.
I mean,
it's rough.
This is how that one was. With 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Colts had a 77% chance of winning, and they lost the game. But I'll tell you, if the 49ers cannot generate a pass rush by Thursday night, Matt Stafford's going to dice this defense up. He threw for 375 last game against the Colts. And you come out and you have the same sort of pass rush you had against Trevor Lawrence on Sunday, and that's not going to be good. Like, they're going to sit there and play keep away. You're going to have maybe 3 drives per half. And so, and you figure if that happens, the Rams are scoring at least 27. So you're going to have 6 possessions to score at least 30 points. That's tough.
Very tough.
I mean, that would mean you'd have to score on either 5 of your 6 drives or 6 of your 6 drives. Like, that's the only way that really comes about. So,
one positive that we can continue to speak on is the fact that not one person's blood pressure rises. You can measure it, all of us faithful. It does not rise when Eddie Pinheiro comes out there. It does not. It's like it's so different than what it was.
No, it
before.
does for me, because then I'm frustrated that we didn't score a touchdown, because both the times he kicked a field goal early, we shouldn't have been kicking a field goal. I'm frustrated that we kick a field goal. We should have been scoring. It should have been an extra point.
Yeah,
and so, you look at that game and you say, okay, you lose 26-21, and You had 2 trips in the red zone, whereas I just showed on one of them, that's 4 points. The other one is 4 points. You win the game. Like, so yeah, I'm not in the mood for this, Adam. I'm not.
No, and I'm
I'm
mad.
irritated. And I'm irritated because people are putting it all at Brock's feet. And look, sorry, no.
No, of
No.
course it's not all on him. Of course not.
And people are going to say,
No.
well, this is why he's paid to win. Look, show me a quarterback around the league who's playing with the kind of weapons that Brock has and is winning a lot of games. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like this fantasy land of a quarterback who can put the team on their back with no weapons. What the Chiefs were 0-3 before yesterday, right? Or 1-2, like, and everybody was talking about how bad their offense was. And like, that's just, they're 2-2 now, so they're 1-2 going into the game yesterday. But they were a bad offense. They have not been a good offense. They went and played a bad defense yesterday and scored a lot of points. Like, that's what happened. The Ravens defense is bad right now. They are missing a lot of players, so they are not a good defense. And so this idea of like teams that this quarterback kind of puts them on their shoulders and goes and does all these amazing and wins all these games, it doesn't exist. We've been watching the NFL for decades. Like, people do this, and maybe it looks that way on the highlights or on Red Zone, but it doesn't exist when you guys are playing out there with practice squad level guys that suddenly the quarterback still can look really good. It doesn't exist when you can't run the ball, you can't do these things. So no, there's a reason Kendrick Bourne was a free agent right now. I love Kendrick Bourne. I love his energy, but you saw yesterday why he was a free agent the first week of the year. I mean, it's like, it's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Real quick, what do you think our schedule is? We have our first Thursday night game. Do you want to just go Friday morning because that will be the reaction, or do you want to try and go Wednesday night at all? What are
I
you
can't do
thinking?
Wednesday nights. Can't do Wednesday nights. It'd have to be probably Thursday morning or something. And then I have that show with stats that I
We
don't,
can just go
I'm
Friday.
over this film, man. I'm over this film. I'm over this game. I need to, but I have to, y'all are going to move on from this game after this episode. Like, most people are going to move on from it and be like, well, let's look to the Rams and how we're going to lose.
Yeah.
For
You
me,
have
I
to
gotta
dissect the
sit with this
film.
Jaguars game for 2 more days. Like, I ain't look, and then the prospect of them playing the Rams. Like, I ain't with this. Yeah. I mean, Lisa's getting spicy in the chat and the super chats. She's getting spicy with it.
Brock single-handedly did not lose the game. We all know that.
No. I mean, look,
Get out of here. Those balls were tipped. I mean, if anything, blame his parents that he's not 6'3" is the best I could tell you.
well, no, because then people say, well, that's why you go get a big quarterback. I mean, look, the play there, that second interception, I'll show it here because this is just, if I can scroll to it real quick. About to have the Luke Farrell fumble here.
Every NFL team calls the same pass plays over and over, too. Let's set that straight. It's not,
and it's not the same routes. It's not, like, it is not the same routes. It looks, yes, you have a lot of in breakers and it looks similar, but it is not the same routes. Like, it's just not. There's, I mean, you could say, well, the Jaguars are getting really predictable because they ran the same 8-yard out route all game. Well, they still won the game. So, yeah, it's not the same routes. It's not, the offense is just so predictable. You can't create space. Like, you are just limited in what you can do when you can't create space, and guys aren't winning and threatening certain areas. It's just, it makes life really tough, and they've got to figure out how to start threatening and creating space. They it's like Shanahan said, they still move the ball well. So here's the pick. All right, so this is a play, and again, when I say, I think Trent's not going to throw himself under the bus here. So, okay, what we're trying to do, is you're trying to make this look like you're running with this wide zone down to the bottom. And then we do this play where we have a throwback screen, right? So Purdy will roll out like it's a slide concept. So you'll have all these guys running away from the play. And then a lot of times we have this throwback screen where we'll have somebody sit, McCaffrey or a tight end sit, and all these linemen are over here. And then you throw it back to them and it's a screen and they run it down. Okay. Well, we're doing a little variation off that. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this fake. We're going to have McCaffrey sit down here, and then he's going to run down the field. You want this right inside the numbers. That's where you want this route to run. Okay. Well, one, Big Trent, finish your dang block. You're right here. Drive your man to the sideline. Finish this block. Trent winds out. And so McCaffrey gets held up on this play. And they talked about this in the presser, that McCaffrey got held up because he's trying to get in here and then leak down the numbers. Well, I pressed something wrong here. Okay. So now McCaffrey's trying to leak out. He's coming out late. Brock's turning around expecting him to be at the 35. He's not there. There's tons of grass if he was able to leak out on time. And then now he's waiting. And McCaffrey, because he's leaking out late, the corner's sitting there. And so he's going to end up running this at an angle into the hash. Brock's coming under pressure. He throws it out there, and it's a little bit too much. And now you got to pick. When I come back to this, I say, Trent, finish your dang block. Don't let McCaffrey get held up here by your man. Okay?
Yeah, he just retreats.
And then Trent's kind of like, oh man, that was unfortunate. That's the stuff that irritates me. Like, I get irritated with that stuff. And then people say, well, Brock lost us the game. And I go, well,
yeah, like, come on. He's the one driving the car, but look at the guys who didn't fill the tires. Look at the guys who didn't check the steering wheel. So now when it veers off the road, that's not just the driver, and yeah, you pay the driver to be able to fix it. There's only so much he can fix.
well, I mean, right now we are playing bad football. When you start stacking bad on bad, then bad things happen. When you have that massive drop by Kendrick Bourne, and then you give up a punt return right after that, like literally the next play,
and we're still in
that
it.
kills you.
That's crazy.
When you have Luke Farrell fumbles the ball and then you give up a 54-yard touchdown the next play, that's bad football.
And we were still in it.
Like those two plays, everybody's talking about the Brock turnovers. And look, you're 4-0 in the turnover battle. You're going to lose a game. Like that you have like a 95% chance of losing the game.
And we were still in it.
But when you look at the most consequential plays in that game, it's the Luke Farrell fumble. The sequences, I should say, it's the Luke Farrell fumble followed by a 54-yard touchdown. It's Kendrick Bourne dropping the ball with a ton of grass to go and then giving up a punt return for a touchdown. Those are 14 points. Those are 14 points that you swing right there.
Yeah.
So, saying we're going to lay it at our quarterback's feet. I'm not here I just can't get on board with that. That's not a defensive turning the ball over 4 times. He's got to hold to not expose that ball at the end of that game. And look, Eric Armstead with his long arms, Jake Brendel has short arms. This is a problem. It has always been a problem. Jake Brendel has short arms, and when you match him up against a guy like Eric Armstead with really long arms, that's not going to go well for Jake Brendel. Brock's still got to hold on to that ball. You are the quarterback. You touch the ball every play. When you have 3 turnovers, you can't expect your team to bail you out and have the rest of the game. But also the rest of the team, you cannot play terribly and expect your quarterback to bail you out. You can't do that. So this is a team, you've got to figure out who you are going to be as the season goes. And you got to figure it out real quick because you got the Rams coming in, or you're going to their house. This is a big game on a short week, and you don't have Nick Bosa there to cover up some of the sins of your defense. Like I pointed out on film that there was moments where when you get a good pass rush, and especially in Nick Bosa, that it could cover up some things on the defense. You don't have that right now. Yeah. So you've got to figure out how to bring this around together. And it's not going to be a players only meeting. These things, I'm not a fan of the players only meetings. I think, this idea of if you're at the point where the players have to get a meeting because they feel like not everybody in the building is carrying their weight, then you might have the wrong roster construction.
Right.
So yeah,
we're not at that level. We're not a franchise that needs to. Yeah, but it is frustrating.
wow. Just breaking. The Texans are trading their tackle Cam Robinson to the Browns.
Really?
Yeah, this morning. Look, I will say, thankfully, we are not Browns fans, where that quarterback room should be an ESPN 30 for 30. I mean, my goodness, that was
Unreal.
like
Flacco trying to throw the ball
Detroit's
away and it gets intercepted. He's trying to throw it away. Like
Detroit's a good team. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but my goodness, that Joe Flacco, 184 yards, 0 touchdowns, 47% completion.
The picks, yeah. And the one was so bad. Like, he throws it away and it looks like it's going to go to the sideline. And great catch by Detroit. I mean, keep his feet in bounds. But,
well, that was a game
come on, dude. Throw it away if you're going to throw it away.
Just put this in perspective. With 12 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third quarter, the Lions had a 96% chance of winning. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there are worse off franchises. We are still 3-1. Yeah. And it's we're actually technically in first place. Thank you for
we are still in first place.
Thanks for the super chat.
It may be my gut reaction is that was on Darrell Luter, that he should have filled on the edge a little bit quicker or replace on the inside, which was a concern I had of Darrell Luter's coming into the game. Everyone was worried about him, that he was going to be really targeted. I didn't necessarily see that coming against this team. What I more saw was I remember when I was watching through the preseason, I was a little underwhelmed by Luter's physicality in coming up to support on the run on the edges. And it's no surprise to me their two biggest runs of the day came going after Luter on the edge. So, I mean, I need to double check it. I've only watched a handful of plays on the film. So I'm definitely be looking for that. I mean, this is why I'm not looking forward to spending 2 days with this, because I'm going to look back at so many of these plays and say, you had it there. Like, but we also must remind ourselves, and I'm saying this as much to myself as anybody else, Adam.
Okay.
The 49ers are historically bad from the end of September through like the end of October. Like, if we go back to all these different years, how many times have people said we need to fire Kyle Shanahan during that stretch? Like every October almost. Kyle Shanahan fans are calling for Kyle Shanahan's head. Like that's just the way it is. That and I've talked about this for several years, right? Like that the 49ers are a bad team right around that time. And usually it's because injuries start piling up. Because when you're a really often injured team, really usually start having injuries pile up around that time. But if we go back to last season, right, what ended up happening by this point, we were 2-2 at the end of September, and then we lost one, we won one, we lost one, we won one, and we were 2-2 in October. But during that time, we lost Brandon Ayuk. We beat the Seahawks, but in that time we lost Jake Moody against the Cardinals. That was the Cardinals game, and Jordan Mason fumbles, and you have that horrible looking game. Then you beat the Seahawks, and everything looks good, and we play the Kansas City Chiefs, and it felt like that the team just fell apart in that game. And Brock plays really bad, and it's a rough game. Then you go beat up on the Cowboys, but even then, at the end of the game, you nearly let them back in it, right? If you remember that. And so it was just like that was last year. If you look at 2023, we ended up going on that 3-game losing streak in the middle of the season, you know when that was? October 15th, 23rd, and 29th. We went on that 3-game losing streak. We'd started out 5-0, and then everybody was starting to say, Brock ain't it. Brock's making all these mistakes. He's losing us his games. Kyle's offense is predictable. We're only going through CMC. George Kittle is probably, they need to move on from him after this year, is what we kept hearing around that time. Ended up going to the Super Bowl. Okay. Like, this kind of stretch of the season is when injuries start piling up historically for us, and we start playing really bad football. If you go back to 2022, at the end of September 25th was the horrible game against the Broncos, right? The pick safety that we had with Jimmy. That game was bad, looked so bad. We lost 10-11. Then you win 2 games. You beat up on the Carolina Panthers, who were in full like tank mode. And then so bad that we ended up getting McCaffrey out of it. But then you go and you lose a winnable game against the Falcons.
Last minute.
Remember that game, right? Like where you got that big drop by was that Ross Dwelly down the middle of the field? It was either Ross Dwelly or
Ayuk had one too, I thought.
Ayuk had one, but there was a really, he was wide stinking open, and he has a big drop. And then you go get beat by the Chiefs the week after that, and everybody, and that was the game that Brock came in at the very end, right? Like Hufanga had the pick on the first series, and then the Chiefs went and scored the touchdowns on 6 straight drives against us. Right? And what was everybody saying then? DeMeco Ryans isn't it as a coordinator. He's no Saleh. He needs to get fired. That's what everybody was saying, that we had just traded for Christian McCaffrey, and it was, why'd you trade for a guy on a team that's not going anywhere, that this team isn't it. That was that year. You go back to 2021. You look at the end of September 26th, we played the Green Bay Packers, lost on that last play. Diamador Lenore was the guy at fault on that one. He gives up a big, like 22-yard completion to Devontae Adams, and then they kick a game-winning field goal. That was the game where Jimmy G had the backwards pass into the ground. That ended up being a fumble, right? So just so we remember, I'm pulling these games up from memory. If we remember these. That we lost on that one. Then the next week we went and played Seattle, and that was the game that everyone was pretty much hurt in that game as well. Lost 21-28. Then we went and played the Arizona Cardinals the next week, lost in that game. Went and played the Indianapolis Colts. That was the game in the rain. You remember, it was like a stinking monsoon that came in to Candlestick, to Levi's. It'd been raining for like 24 hours. It was that atmospheric river came through and drenched that area, and we lost to the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody was saying the same thing. Shanahan's never going to get it. We need to fire Shanahan. We were 3-5 at that point. It was a really bad stretch. We were 2-4 by that point. Right, we were 2-4 by that point. Had won the first 2 weeks and then went on a 4-game losing streak. Guys were injured. All these things were happening. So, like, this part of the season is just not for us. Like, we end up being bad. You go back to 2020, we lost the home opener and then went and beat the New York Jets. But what happened? You had the 3-play sequence where Nick Bosa tears his ACL, and then Solomon Thomas tears his ACL. Jimmy G gets the high ankle sprain. You beat the New York Football Giants on the same field the next week. I believe it was Nick Mullins starting. Then you go and Nick Mullins throws the game away against the Philadelphia Eagles. You lose to the Miami Dolphins, and everybody's saying you're 2-3, and everybody's saying fire Shanahan for everything. Now that season ended up going terribly, but if we go back to then the 2021, 2022, and 2023, those games, they ended up in the NFC Championship game, and in the Super Bowl. And all 3 of those years, we were around this time and through into the middle of November, middle of October, end of October. Like, the team was having these same sort of issues. The offense looks bad. Everybody's saying it looks predictable. Fire Kyle Shanahan, because they can't get it together. We're putting everything on the quarterback, and everybody and the team saying we got to play better as a team and all these things. And then those seasons, we end up at the end of the season being like, we were so close to a Super Bowl, right? So like I'm kind of used to this, but I'm also tired of it. Like you shouldn't be in this position right now, but we are.
Yeah.
So everybody, that needs to be a dose of reality of this. This is the history of this team. Like this just is. You start to have these moments and more underscores. I don't want to see another season beyond this point. I know they're not going to do it in the middle of the season, but I don't want to see another season of this training staff and this player health staff. Like something has to change. I'm beyond sick of this. So I'll leave it at that.
Be sure to hit the notification bell because we don't always know when Johnny's going to drop his videos, and based on schedules, we don't know when we're going to be able to go live with you guys. I believe we'll go Friday after the game. I mean, we go Fridays anyway, so it makes sense, makes good sense. But hit the notification bell. Also, if you want to hear more about other NFL games and the awesome college football weekend, just as a college football fan, it was a fun weekend. Be sure to tune into today's episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Had some fun there, talking about some new TV shows coming out and some movies coming out as well. But yeah, man, just all bad, and I'm excited to move on with the rest of the faithful and thank you for your work because we know you cannot move on as you are stuck with the film. So we appreciate Mr. Johnny Dell going through this for us so that we can see what we can improve on. Be sure to take your phone and show it to people wearing Niner gear, and because that helps support Johnny. Johnny, tell them about the website before we get out of here.
Yeah, thank you to all the members of the members website. I know this is not the kind of game and the atmosphere in which people are very keen on supporting 49ers content. I understand it in that sense. Also, it's very hard with what the NFL has done to make it through this time without that support because I mean I can show everybody the emails that I get every time I upload a video, and it says this video cannot be monetized. The content owner may be monetizing it on your video, and what that means is that the NFL is running ads on it and they're taking the money. So when you see the breakdown videos and all that editing that goes into it, the NFL's taking the money. So there's not much I can do about it. I can appeal or I can dispute it, and then they just say, well, no, we're not gonna let go of our copyright claim. So I don't have much recourse other than hiring a full-time attorney after this, which don't have the resources to do that, to fight the NFL, a multi-billion-dollar company. So I appreciate every direct supporter. That's how these videos get made and everything. It's a lot of time, especially last week. It was a struggle. I know it came out late, and I had some people comment being like, this video is late, bro. And I'm like, yeah, well, I was very, very busy last week. I do work a normal job outside this and that. And I was having a lot more obligations there. And so I was usually up till 11:30 every night, and up at 5 and 6 a.m. every morning. And pretty much that whole time, I didn't see my kids much last week just to get a video out. So I appreciate all the direct support. I really, really, really do. You really make these videos possible. When I say that, it's not just lip service. And I try as hard as I can and work as hard as I can to get them out. I promise that sometimes I want to give people more value for what they're contributing in for. It's just when you're already stretched at that point to make them the way they are, because I don't want to lose the quality of the videos, and I don't think you do either. As fans, you want to see things put together in that way where it's easier to digest, and it's given to you straightforward, and it's in a digestible segment of 22 to 23 minutes. I want that for you fans, and I think that's what you really want. So that's what we do it for.
Absolutely. I'm with Quick Football. He says plug your appearances on other shows. I'll start by saying that Johnny has been a guest, I believe, 2 or 3 times, and as recent as just last Wednesday on Sports Idiot Nation. So that's one show. Be sure to check
True.
him out on Sports Idiot Nation.
We went
What
over some
else?
49ers film on that. Now it was from 2022, but I was teaching some of the things many of which we still run today with Sala,
Absolutely.
um, covering some cover four palms. Really diving into that. Went on with Larry Krueger on KNBR last Friday night. So many of you caught that. Thank you for being on there every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And go live with Rob Statsguerra on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. We usually do different film breakdowns as well. A lot of times there's going to be overlap because not everybody that watches their podcast watches my channel. So you're going to see it, and we do more live breakdowns. So I might get into the weeds a little bit more. I was able to, with Mac Jones's 2-minute drive last year, cover a play I didn't get into on the normal breakdown video because it was just an 8-yard route, and most people be like, and I couldn't really do it justice for how much detail there is in an 8-yard route and against that coverage. In a quick breakdown. So I covered it more in depth with Rob there, and it becomes harder. I'm sure this episode, once the NFL uploads the all 22, which is usually around tomorrow morning, this episode's probably going to get flagged for copyright ID because of the film I showed. That's one of the reasons I don't do it as much on this podcast. It gives me at least a couple shows a week that aren't hit with copyright ID claims. But we were able to get into the weeds on it and show just, Shanahan is really an incredible play designer. But you got to be able to create some space, like as a team. That has to be a thing. So, anyways, that was what it was. And I don't know. Larry's reached out to me about Larry Krueger about doing shows more often. I've got to work it out with my schedule. As you guys know, I'm really busy. I got somebody else who wants to do a weekly show with me, and it's just getting to the point of like, man, it's a lot of time when I'm doing 4 different weekly podcast shows, really possibly 5, and then trying to do all the editing. It's a lot. It's a lot, y'all.
Yeah.
I love talking Niners, but that's a lot.
Yeah, no, and that's why I just say we appreciate you. We appreciate you. I personally, know you on a little bit of a deeper level and know how busy you are. And so, guys, just take my word for it when I say that you have to hit the notification bell because of his schedule is so crazy. Like,
I really do try and hit a predictable schedule though. Like I try and have the edited videos out by 4:30 Pacific time. Like so, if I get them done at 1 o'clock Pacific time, I'll schedule it for 4:30 because I want it to be in that window when people are getting off work and they're able to do something and have a little bit of that break away from your work life. You need to be able to separate that out, and you need to be able to have a little bit of time. This is why we love football, right? So I try and do that. Provide that around that time for everybody. I know most fans are on the Pacific Coast. Thank you so much, Brian. I'm a
yes,
gangster for
yeah,
doing all this film breakdown.
an OG, gangster.
OG. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for the super
Well,
chat,
well,
Brian.
sorry. It's just one of those things. Like, what do you share on it? I'll say most of my cousins on my mother's side, they're all Mexican. When I was the gangsters, we're more mafia guys. Yeah, I'd always ask mom, who were those guys with the long black coats at the funerals that looked like they had a little something bulging out in the pocket. Yeah. So when I hear that, I'm like, well, that's the other side of the family. But I get what you're saying. I appreciate the sentiment. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for the support. We're going to be getting into it. So yeah, and Quiffle, yeah, it was a great honor to be there on KNBR. I didn't grow up with KNBR, but I know what they represent in the Bay Area, and do not take that lightly, and really appreciate the opportunity I had to share on there.
Yeah, I did a little bit grow up with it, and I will say I still have. I'm pulling it up. I have iHeartRadio, and I literally have as one of the presets the sports leader. There it is. KNBR. I listen quite for being in Indiana. I really do listen all the time to KNBR. So, yeah, it was definitely cool to have you on KNBR. I was like, wait a minute, that's my dude. Like, that's pretty cool. So, All right, we're gonna be upset for a while, and we have to
Yeah.
live with it, and it is the way it is. And excited for Thursday football.
Oh
We will see
man,
you.
the Eagles lost another guy for the season.
Oh, we feel so terrible for them.
I do actually. Like as much as I hate Philly fans, I don't wish that their players get hurt. I mean, that's rough. Like they're
No, we
people
don't wish it on them. Yeah. How
and
about your
and
boy Sidney Brown getting that touchdown? I thought of you
I
when
missed
he
it. I
scored it,
missed it, man.
dude. I was like, "That's Johnny's
Um,
guy, Sidney Brown."
Ogbo Okoronkwo is done for the season, torn triceps. So
Ugh, triceps is
yeah,
bad.
yeah. I mean, it sucks. I hate seeing like and look, the NFL, screw this 18 game season. I'm so over that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're watching almost every team is losing at least one player for multiple games every game. Now the 49ers are losing like 2 and 3, but every team, you're losing what on average like 28 to 30 starters every week in games. Like so NFL, really explain to me why we're going to get a better product by replacing a preseason game with 30 or so NFL starters missing time. Tell me how that's going to create a better product. I call BS on that. That's just
Well, it's
ridiculous.
because we're gonna still watch. That's the reason. And we're gonna watch the TV or the app that has the game, and those people need ads sold. And there you go. No matter what they do, we're gonna watch. No matter how much gas prices go up, I still need to drive. No matter how much they make cigarettes, people who smoke are still gonna buy them. Like at some point, it doesn't matter. I hate to say that, but that is the reason. It's just the way it is. Yeah, Malik Neighbor's gone too. We all knew that right when it
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Some of these injuries you don't need to be a doctor. You don't have to have,
I'm not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
what a way to end the
If
show. That's the perfect way.
anybody who stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night
Oh, you
knew
always
that
say
Malik
that. Yeah.
Neighbors had a torn ACL,
Yes,
which sucks for him. I mean,
4.7
my goodness,
million.
yeah.
Yeah, what a great player. And the Giants still were able to win. We'll see what they do. They have the Saints next week, so the Giants should be on a 2-game winning streak. All right, are we going to do our normal ending? I don't know. Are you
I'm
I
not in the
don't know.
mood for joking this morning, Adam.
Yeah.
I mean, are you in the mood for joking? I don't think I am. Are you?
No,